Top 5 favorite hikes in Rocky Mountain National Park. This is a list that I've thought about a lot. I've done a lot of hikes in Rocky Mountain National Park and always wanted to make a top 5 favorite list. None of the hikes on this list are going to be beginner friendly. They are going to range from difficult to very difficult. I am also not going to even attempt to put these in order, so the hikes that I list are in no particular order because it's hard enough just picking 5. Jumping right in, first on the list. Hike to Frigid Lake and Muma's Glacier. We did this hike September 20th, 2020. We left from the Wild Basin Trailhead. Hiking distance 17.2 miles with 3,927 feet of total elevation gain. Reasons why I like this hike. You gotta work to get to the views, but once you get to Thunder Lake, the views start opening up pretty substantially. Thunder Lake is an amazing alpine lake. From there, it's a nice semi-bushwhack all the way over to Box Lake, where you'll gain a couple hundred feet of total elevation gain. Box Lake is cool and all. Take another 100 feet or so, and then you'll reach a massive long lake called Eagle Lake. Eagle Lake is very beautiful. It's got great views of Eagle's Beak, which is I think a 12,000 foot peak that I really want to do in the near future. And the hike from Eagle's Beak all the way up to Frigid Lake and Muma's Glacier is 1,000 feet of vertical total elevation gain. The hike up there is very fun. There's definitely no sort of trail. I don't even remember seeing any cairns on the way up there. Just gotta pick your own path, stay away from the crummels, and do a little bit of class 2, maybe class 3 boulder hopping to get up there. The way we climbed up a bunch of wet rock, made the Sky Pond hike at Timberline Falls look like a piece of cake. Frigid Lake is awesome, and a part of Frigid Lake is Eagle's Beak and Muma's Glacier. Really mad that we didn't hike Eagle's Beak the day we made it there, but next time that's sure on the list to do. One of the most beautiful and remote locations that I've ever seen in Rocky Mountain National Park. On the way back, you want to make the hike a little tougher, go ahead and bushwhack to Mertenza Falls. That's what we did. Overall, love this hike. Plan on doing it again. Plan on doing Eagle's Beak next time that we hike this. Second on the list, Mount Ida. We hiked Mount Ida June 19th, 2021. We started at Milner Pass Trailhead. Total hiking distance 10.3 miles. Total elevation gain 2,398 feet. Even though this is a difficult hike, this is by far the easiest hike that's on my top 5 list. Reasons Mount Ida made the list: it's a very quick hike through the forest. You start off at Poudre Lake, which is at Milner Pass. The lake is beautiful. It's known to have moose. We saw moose when we were there, and it's just a quick hike from a nice maintained trail through the forest. Before you know it, you're above tree line and the views open up fast. You've got views off to the west of the Never Summer Mountains and alpine tundra littered with wildflowers during the summer. Just makes for incredible beauty. Trail is very evident once you get above tree line. Even when you get close to the summit of Mount Ida, it does break off and you can lose it, but there's so many ways to reach the summit of Mount Ida from there, and nothing ever exceeds class 1 hiking. Views from the summit of Mount Ida, very amazing. You've got the Gorge lakes down below. Azure and Inkwell Lake are the prominent lakes below the summit. Next mountain down, Chelly Peak, sits highest lake, which is partially hidden by the ridge of Chelly Peak. You can see Lake Granby. You can see Timber Lake. There's just 360 views all around at the summit of Mount Ida. And there's many options to make this a longer day hike, either by going to Chelly Peak, Crack Top Mountain, or diving down into the gorge to visit some of those lakes. Love Mount Ida, definitely deserves to be on my top 5 list. Number 3 on the list, Keplinger Lake. We hiked to Keplinger Lake on November 7th, 2020. We started from the Sand Beach Lake Trailhead in the Wild Basin. Hiking distance 15.5 miles with 4,334 feet of total elevation gain. Gotta work to get the views on this one. Not much going on until you reach Sand Beach Lake. Sand Beach Lake is cool and all, but from there, it's a small bushwhack up the ridge of Mount Orton. Before you get to the summit of Mount Orton, that's where the views start opening up. It's pretty amazing. The reason I like this hike so much, it's just the dominance of the peaks off to the north. You've got Chief's Head Peak, Pagoda Mountain, Longs Peak, Mount Meeker, 313ers and a Colorado 14er that you get to stare at the entire hike. The hike up Mount Orton would be worth it alone. Off to the south, you got pretty dope views of Copeland Mountain, but it's the Longs Peak and surrounding mountains that do it for me. From Mount Orton, you descend down the ridge, aim for the unnamed pond, and wherever there's not a lot of snow, that's usually the best place to go down. It's gonna be steep, there's gonna be loose scree, you'll probably upset some ptarmigans on the way down, but once you're into the valley, the unnamed ponds there are just amazing to look at. They were both frozen when we were there, which kind of sucks, but just the vastness of the mountains surrounding you is just incredible. From there, you climb up a shelf. I think it was a little bit of class 2 scrambling, nothing too crazy, and then you get to Keplinger Lake. Keplinger Lake sits under Pagoda Mountain in a very unique cirque. Most of the lake was frozen when we were there, which is kind of a bummer. I like my alpine lakes flowing with water, but it's still dope enough that it made my top 5 list. If you want to do this hike and you check a popular website like All Trails, it's going to give you a trail to follow Hunter's Creek up to Keplinger's Lake. I highly recommend not doing that. It is a very nasty bushwhack, especially when there's snow. The hike up to the summit of Mount Orton and back down will add a little bit of mileage and a little bit of elevation gain to the hike, but it's way more scenic and way easier to do than bushwhacking through Hunter's Creek. We did both ways. Speaking of Longs Peak, number 4 on my list of top 5 favorite hikes, Longs Peak Keyhole Route. We hiked Longs Peak Keyhole Route on August 9th, 2020. We started at the Longs Peak Trailhead near Allens Park. Total hiking distance, 14.8 miles round trip, 5,052 feet of total elevation gain. This is a very long hike. The first part of the hike, the longest part of the hike, is reaching the boulder field. And honestly, it's pretty meh. I've done the area many times. We did it in the dark when we did the Longs Peak Keyhole route, but as soon as you make it through the Keyhole, this is why it's my favorite hike. The views of the upper and lower Glacier Gorge are just out of this world. The mountains that you're able to see from the ledges is just incredible. I saw one of the most beautiful sunrises I've ever seen in my life from the ledges on the Keyhole route of Longs Peak. Not just amazing views from pretty much everywhere on the Keyhole route, the hike or climb itself is just fun. It's very fun. There's a lot of scrambling. There's a couple of cool moves that you got to do, a couple of rock climbing moves. The community on the mountain, on the Keyhole route, everyone is just so nice to each other. Everyone has one goal, one shared goal, that's to reach the summit of Longs Peak, get down safely, and return back home. Climbing up the trough is exhilarating, but it's very fun. There's a nice little class 3 move at the end of there, and once you get through that class 3 move, the views just open up and you get to see a whole other side of the park. From there, it's just a nice little stroll down the Narrows, up the home stretch, and you're at the giant summit of Longs Peak. When we did this hike, the conditions were perfect. Wind, ice, snow, rain, thunder, lightning can all make this hike terrifying. Recommend leaving really early in the morning. Get to the trailhead at like 2 a.m., 3 a.m., whatever time. Just make sure you're at the Keyhole by sunrise, and this is going to be a very enjoyable hike, and it's going to lessen the chances that you have to deal with summer thunderstorms. Longs Peak Keyhole route. Love this hike so much. Last but not least, number 5 on the list, the Upper Glacier Gorge. We hiked the Upper Glacier Gorge 2 days after we did Longs Peak, August 12th, 2020. We started at the Glacier Gorge trailhead. Total hiking distance, 14.6 miles with 3,215 feet of total elevation gain. I'm not even gonna go through the lower Glacier Gorge part of this hike. It's amazing. Mills Lake, Jewel Lake, Black Lake. From Black Lake on, this is where the real fun begins. Hiking up a steep slope of rocks will bring you up into a gorge that's full of all sorts of bushwhacking material. Very easy to navigate through though. We decided that we wanted to hit up all the lakes in the Upper Glacier Gorge. Frozen Lake was first on the list. That's a little bit of a climb, maybe class 2, nothing too crazy. Just aim for the Spearhead Mountain, stay north of that, and then keep going west, and you'll eventually find Frozen Lake. Frozen Lake is amazing. It's a very unique alpine lake. I think it's one of the highest in Rocky Mountain National Park. And from what I've heard, it stays frozen pretty much year round, except for, I don't know, maybe August when we went. After Frozen Lake, we descended back down into the upper Glacier Gorge and headed straight for Green and Italy Lakes. Green Lake is well above tree line. There's lots of running water up to the lake. And just shortly after Green Lake is a small, unofficially named tarn called Italy Lake. The main reason that this one made my list is because I've never felt so remote when hiking in Rocky Mountain National Park. There was no wind on this day, and the presence of sound was just completely absent. It was so remote, so quiet. It was actually scary, terrifying, but just so amazing at the same time. After Green and Italy Lakes, we made the hike over to Blue Lake. Blue Lake is a bit of a bushwhack, and it was probably the hardest out of all the lakes in the upper Glacier Gorge to find. The views of Blue Lake, though, are just amazing. Amazing views of the lower Glacier Gorge. Turn around and you got great views at Keyboard of the Winds and Long's Peak. Just a very amazing, dope views in every single direction. Best thing about it is you're probably not going to see anyone else. We were out there for about 6 or 7 hours on the upper Glacier Gorge. Only saw 2 climbers. They were climbing the spearhead. Didn't see anyone else until we got back down into the lower Glacier Gorge heading back home. That's it. That's my top 5 favorite all-time hikes in Rocky Mountain National Park. Emily and I plan on doing a lot more hikes in Rocky Mountain National Park. We plan on hitting every single named destination in the park within the next 3 or 4 years. I'm gonna try and make one of these every single year as the list is gonna get updated. But I would love to know, what's your favorite hike in Rocky Mountain National Park? Leave a comment. Would love to hear from you. Anyway, that's gonna be it for me. Hope you enjoyed this video. Until the next hike, I'm Dave Spates, Hiking Adventure Photography.